Hi, I'm Dawn from New Jersey.
Hi, 我是臧启亮，我来自中国。
My name's Jack. I'm travelling Australia at the moment. I'm currently in Cairns.
Hi, my name's Julie, and I'm from Mayfield, East Sussex.
And autism to me is like snowflakes. There's not one true look or one true style. Every single person with autism is unique, special, and magical. I would say too that no person is autistic. They have autism. Just like you have two eyes, a nose, a mouth, and two ears. It's just part of you, but it doesn't define you.
对我来说，孤独症像是一种不完美，但这个世界本来就不是完美的呀。孤独症患者也只是普通人，像我一样过着平凡的人生，只是这种平凡的人生对他们来说却更加艰难。我为他们而感到骄傲。
To me, having Asperger's is something that has always been in the background to some degree, but I've managed to deal with it for most of my life because I've had friends and family to, demonstrate to me that I can do everything just like everybody else.
Autism to me is my son, who sees the world through a different lens and walks to the beat of his own drum. But it's also crippling anxiety and extreme demand avoidance to try and help that anxiety. It's my son working hard every single day to mask his autism, just to try and fit in with the world around him. It's wearing nothing but pants at home because clothes are just too much for his sensory issues. It's being talked at, in depth, at great length. It's talking, but never really speaking. It's not understanding emotions, and also being unable to regulate your emotions. Autism is just autism. It's a different way of looking at the world. Autism is what makes my son the wonderful, clever, unique person he is.
My name is Max Brown and I work at the University of Sussex and I am a student advisor for students with autism.
My name's Phil Rowland. I'm a teacher and I live in Uckfield.
I'm Debbie and I obviously live in Uckfield as well. And I'm a Special Educational Needs Coordinator, which is a SENCO.
My name's Julie. I am mum to Sam. Sam's 8 now and was finally diagnosed with autism and sensory processing disorder and severe anxiety. Actually, it was May 2017. It was a long road to get that diagnosis.
Yeah, we have the 3 boys, that's what we have. I guess we don't know what a normal child is like. So we don't really know how much of what their behaviour is actually just normal sibling behaviour and how much is it because of the autism and that sort of thing. So we don't know. True. All 3 on the autistic spectrum, 2 with a diagnosis.
Twins.
They are twins, non-identical twins, but very different.
To be diagnosed with autism, you fall into what's called the triad of impairments. So it's a condition that affects someone's social behaviour. So the triad of impairments affects your social communication, your understanding of social interaction, and your social imagination. Unfortunately, the way that autism is classified, it's from an approach that classifies a person as having a deficit in those 3 areas of social functioning.
So Ewan was diagnosed first. I guess we noticed things with him earlier because his is more, I guess, behavioural. We noticed very early with him.
Very physical.
He was very, very physical with everything. You know, he did a lot of hitting and biting and pinching, and kind of it carried on longer than you would expect. Yeah. Lucas was, I think we began to see more and more he was isolating himself. So he wasn't playing and things like he babbled from very early age, but that babble never turned into anything. So his speech was affected.
He does what's called masking it. So he goes to school, he went to preschool, and he appears to be absolutely neurotypical when actually he's a ball of anxiety the whole time he's there. And then he comes home and that's when he explodes. The best analogy I've seen for it, I don't know if it's an analogy or a metaphor, but anyway, it's a Coke bottle, and you shake it a little bit in the morning, then you shake it a little bit with each thing that happens throughout the day, and by the end of the day that Coke bottle explodes. That was Sam.
As a teacher, when I have a meeting with a parent, you know, going over the provision plan which sets out how we're going to support their child, when they hear that I have children of my own that have autism, their shoulders drop. You can hear them go, oh, you understand then.
Yeah.
You understand the fact that, you know, you're telling me that your child is really well behaved at school. As soon as they get home, they're fighting with their brother, they're losing it. And because they're holding it all together, and then that's because it's been so intense, and they've been really focusing on concentrating and trying to make friends and playing well and doing the work and mixing with people at playtime and eating their dinner with all the noise going around. And they can get home and they go, actually, and all of that release, and you know, it's like, well, and then the parents going, well, why do they not play up for you when they play up for me? And I can understand and I can see that, and it's like, and I'll never forget that strategy of somebody saying with a Coke bottle, you know, a little shake, a little more of a shake, and this is what's happening at school. You know, oh, you know, why can't I go on the laptop?
Because it's their safe place.
Yeah.
Safe place.
Yeah, a little shake more, and then when they get home, the lid comes off. And
yeah, because it's safe. Because you're going to love me anyway, even if I behave like this. So.
Right, well, when he was diagnosed, nothing changed. Absolutely nothing. Because you go, he gets tested, the doctor says, yes, he has autism, he has severe anxiety, and he has sensory processing disorder, and you leave. I'd never heard of sensory processing disorder. I'd no idea he was anxious. I had no idea. There's nobody there tells you what to do next. So I picked the brains of people that I knew that had children with autism. I started researching it online, I bought books, and I taught myself about autism and sensory processing disorder.
Autism is a developmental condition which falls on a spectrum, so it is something that affects people in different ways. It's something that could be termed differently by different people depending on what your understanding is. So it's a neurobehavioural condition which impacts people in terms of their level of functionality. So within autism there's various different levels of how it impacts people. So you have what used to be termed Asperger's syndrome, which is a distinct level of functional impairment, and then you also have what's called high functioning autism, and right up to people who have non-verbal forms of autism. You could imagine it more as a sort of circle or a dartboard, and you could fall anywhere on that. To think of it more as a circle, it has much more options for recognising that, as well as that sort of quite arbitrary level of functionality, you're going to have your own individual strengths and weaknesses, and your own individual sensory experiences, and your own individual way of experiencing autism that will be entirely different to the other 100 autistic people you could compare yourself to.
Sam, you need to leave the comic alone now. We need to go. Sam, 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 come on. Come on, darling. We need to go now. Sam talks non-stop. Talks about everything. Well, no, he doesn't talk about everything. He just talks. He talks non-stop. But he talks about nothing. I don't know how he feels. I don't know what he thinks. I don't know anything of any importance. I don't know what he did at school during the day because he's unable to tell me. He communicates to me through his behaviour. So if he's having a meltdown, that's because he is anxious. Or it's too much, he's overwhelmed. These are the words that I'm teaching him to use now, are the words overwhelmed, anxious, because he doesn't understand emotions, really.
So I took them to the hairdressers. Was really anxious, and I'd said to Lucas particularly, you know the clippers that Daddy uses for his hair. Would you like to give those a go? And not thinking, I guess the thing again with autism is you just don't know how they're going to react in any situation. So I was thinking, there's going to be the noise of the clippers. Will that trip him up?
Will there be other
Will it
people
be
there?
that he doesn't know the setting? Will it be that he doesn't know the person that's killing his hair?
Doesn't like the feel of it.
Will he not want to
He
wear
doesn't like the feeling of the hair.
cape thing? And so we went in, and I deliberately picked a hairdresser that I knew would be quiet, that would be contained, so they couldn't see out of the windows for distraction. There wasn't going to be over an amount of noise. There wasn't going to be an over amount of chairs or other people in that particular barber. So that's why I went there. And they sat down at the same time, and Ewan was very much that didn't say a word, and the guy was trying to have a conversation with him. How was your holiday?
I'm here to do a task. Let's just get on with it.
What kind of haircut do you want?
No.
Can you lean your head that way? and Lucas and I was kind of right. Okay. Do you want to have a go with the buzzy noise thing? And he's like, yeah, okay, because Ewan is, which was great. I mean, they are fantastic support for each other. So he had a go, and I'm stood there behind going, really good, and he kept itching his nose. And it was getting frustrating for the lady that was doing his hair. And I could see that she was like, would you like another itch? Being sarcastic to him, and I'm thinking, that's not what he needs here.
I wasn't there. Good job that was you and not me.
So I'm going to him, right, let's do a challenge. Can we keep our hands, see how long we can keep our hands on our knees for? And was doing things like that, and which worked. And he came out, and he had all his hair cut, and it was tingly, and I was so jumping up and down on the hairdressers, going, really well done, that's absolutely fantastic. It was just a haircut.
A lot of people with autism have a sensory sensitivity, so they can be really sensitive to noise or to light or something like that. So all these things that could happen that could be unpredictable or could be sensory quite overwhelming, sometimes that could be happening to the extent that it could cause quite a lot of anxiety and distress for someone, that it could cause them to tip over into what's called meltdowns. So that could cause such a level of kind of distress and panic for someone that it can mean that that person can have a situation where they are just so overwhelmed, they're just kind of really just don't know what to do. So that is a kind of extreme example of where things have become too much for an autistic person.
If he, for example, doesn't want to get dressed and doesn't want to put his shoes on, so he's pitching a fit outside the front door, doesn't want to put his shoes on, that's because he's afraid or anxious to do what I'm asking him to do. So he does a thing that's called demand avoidance. That's another thing I've learned, demand avoidance. So instead of telling me like other children would, "Mummy, I don't want to go here. Mummy, I don't like this. Mummy, this doesn't sound like a good thing. Mummy, this scares me," he throws shoes at my head, or he hits his head off the wall, or he screams this high-pitched scream while throwing himself around the room.
Hugh does not like showers, only baths, and hates water in or even near his eyes. I got Hugh into the bathroom. I locked the door, and Hugh took one look at the water and started shouting,
No bath!
"Hugh, you need a bath."
No bath!
Shit. Completely forgotten to give Hugh a countdown for his bath.
No bath!
Hugh went crazy, crawling, kicking, hitting and screaming. Oh God, the screaming at that pitch. Oh, my head. I tried to pick Hugh up and take him away from the bath. I got punched, kicked, managed to get him into the bedroom, still screaming and lashing out.
Oh my God! When Sam was 2, that's when I first noticed there was something different about him. Because we would have horrendous meltdowns in shopping centres. And I mean horrendous. There was one in House of Fraser that, well, I think it was Blue Water, but it started in House of Fraser. And the reason he had a meltdown was because I wouldn't let him run around the car park. I wouldn't let him run around the car park. So he threw himself in the middle of the road in the car park and screamed and kicked and punched, and I had to pick him up, walked down to Blue Water, and I dumped him at the door of House of Fraser. And he followed me and then threw himself on the floor and screamed. He did that for half of Blue Water. And people were pointing and staring. It's like, this is my child. He's not naughty, he has autism, and the noises that you are making is too much for him. I'm not saying the world needs to change to accommodate my child, just saying it needs to just stare and judge a bit less. Or maybe shouldn't say stuff like that. This is my family, this is what we are, this is what we look like, this is us.
And I think most of the time, I think we are fairly chilled. I think we don't worry too much when we're out what people think, actually. I think on the whole we really don't. We've never had anyone say anything to us. I would dare them, if I'm honest.
But I would love
But I find going out with your dad
"Well
very
done.
difficult.
You're doing a good job."
Yeah, that's what we never get.
Appreciation of it's always.
So you pick up on that. I don't seem to see what anyone else.
I
pick up on
But-
that.
No.
But it's to go. No, I can see your children are challenging. You're doing great. You know, and then like in fact,
But then
this
how often
scenario
do you say that to other parents? You don't.
I do. I do.
Do you?
Yeah.
I give smiles. I give encouraging smiles.
Yeah, I do because I know I want.
I've been,
Yeah,
I've
I shouldn't
been
have
judged,
cried
and I've
thing.
cried in shopping centres
Yeah.
because I've been judged. So
Yeah.
if I see somebody else
Yeah.
who you can see struggling, just
I
you're
always
doing a
make
great
sure
job,
I do.
can
Yeah.
change their whole day.
Yeah.
Although that would be what would guarantee me crying. If you told me I was doing a great job, I would go, oh.
That's my biggest thing that I say to you a lot, and I say to my mum a lot, and I say is actually, I beat myself up daily on the type of parent I am, and I always look at how much I'm failing my children, and I should be doing more, and I said, I'm never, I don't have anyone telling me any different. I said, I need someone to sometimes say to me, do you know what, you're a good parent, your kids are so lucky to have you, and I don't get that. And so unless someone says that to me, I'm just going to assume that I'm crap.
I think the positive points on autism is that it's made probably my love for my children greater, because I'm so proud of a lot more things than I think that they achieve every day than I would be if the children were normal. You know, and
The little things mean more.
yeah, I think that's it. I think that's really it. And I think having their special, unique quirks, their unique obsessions, their unique way of doing it makes them who they are, which then makes them just lovable, every one of them in their own way, and you know, just makes you immensely proud to be their parent. You know.
What's the one piece of advice that you'd give to parents of children with autism?
Fight. Fight for them. They deserve it, and it won't be given to them. It won't just naturally be given to them. And it should be. Any child with a special need, you know, they're the children that shouldn't have to fight. But you will have to fight, and fight for your child, because it will get you what they need, and they deserve to be fought for. And just accept them for who they are. Don't try and change them. You know, and anyone that wants you to change them, tell them where to go. Stick your fingers up.
And the hardest thing, time. Give them your time. Interact with them. It's hard when you're tired. It's hard when you can see that, oh, I've got loads of work that I need to do tonight, but I'm going to do that bedtime routine. I'm going to read to them. And if I don't do that, Mum will get a meltdown because I've broken the routine. But also, it's rewarding having that time. And be it them crawling all over me, or, you know, or bouncing on the trampoline, doing the story for bedtime, doing the bath time. Give them the time. However difficult it is, give them that time.
And actually, the last thing I would say is, you're doing a great job. Because most of the time, with a child with autism, you won't feel like it. But you are.